What's up guys, Nate here. Today we are going to tackle Silverstone. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but it's just because I've wanted to save all of the quality, all of the knowledge for this video. So stay tuned. We're going to go over some tips and some of the things that I look out for on this track that can hopefully shave some time off of your laps. And if it doesn't, you get your money back. So let's hop on track and see what we can do. Going into your qualifying lap, something that you can do, and this is on most tracks, but Silverstone for sure, you can, instead of keeping your normal tight line, if you know you're going for an absolute banger, you can bounce this out wide and get a better run, and that'll give you, I don't know, 200-300s, but it's something, you know. So that's something you can do. In the BMW, TC8 works well around this corner. Bring it out nice and wide. For a quali lap, you can take this a little wider as well. And then once you cross the line, what you're going to be looking for is to get all the way over. And you're going to be braking a little bit before this 50 board. Now, I used to brake at the 50 board, but I've had better success braking just right before it. So we'll slow this down a little bit. As you can see, it looks like we're probably going to be at full braking power at the 50. Yep, full braking power at the 50. And it's just a short dab of the brakes. Now, it's going to change a little bit depending on what car you're in. But hard stab of the brakes, and then you're going to start turning in. You're going to want to bounce off the curb on the inside. You can take a little more curb in the BMW than we did here, and then use all the track on the exit, because the straighter line you're taking, the more acceleration you're going to get down the line. Maggots and Beckett's up next. I see a lot of guys, they bounce out super wide to the right before coming in here. In the BMW, I don't think it's super necessary. You can have good success without it. But what you want to look for here is get all the way over on the left of this curb here. You see this angle I'm taking. We're cutting straight across here, and then our goal is to straight line this corner to the right as much as we can. So we'll slow this down a bit. And my kind of guide here is making the end of this red curb and then drawing a line from the end of the red curb to that inside corner, and that's kind of the line I am trying to take. And we're going to clip a lot of that inside curb as well. You don't have to brake here. I do find myself sometimes just giving a tiny little tap if I feel like I've turned in a little too late. So that's something you can do, just like the tiniest little input. We'll see if I do here. Nope, no tap here. And then something I've had to control for myself is not hammering the throttle in this section. Just give it a little bit of throttle, but we want to keep it smooth through here, because if you lose traction, you're gonna lose all kinds of time. So get onto the brakes and get that car rotated. Cut the inside corner here, and then you want to end up as far to the left as possible here. Not as far, but you don't want to end up on the right hand side, because then your exit is compromised. From there, you finish turning left, and then you're immediately bouncing out to the right. Hammer the throttle. Oftentimes, because of the horsepower of the car, you will get a little extra rotation from the wheel hop, and you'll be able to hammer down the straight pretty good. This next corner, very crucial to do properly. We're gonna brake, I don't know, 5 feet, 10 feet before the black and white curb on the left. There's a really nasty bump here, and you want to be on the brakes before that. Otherwise, you're gonna overshoot this by a long shot. So we'll slow this down. Full brake, and then as soon as we brake, we're aiming for I don't know, about a car width, maybe 6-7 feet from the outside of the, or from the inside of the curb. We're trying to brake as straight as we can, and then once we can feel that we can rotate the car, we're gonna start rotating in. And the key here is to ease off of the brakes, keep enough traction to hold the speed, and then when you can, fully get off the brakes and apply the throttle. Just watch it full speed here. Hammer on those brakes. And then we're back on throttle as soon as possible. Once again, use all of the track. Some cars you're going to be able to brake just at the black and white here. Some cars you're going to have to brake a little bit beforehand. I like to be fully on the brakes by the time we get there so that I have more control come through this slow left-hander. And that's another one where it's tempting. It's tempting once you make this left-hander to really just hammer the throttle and stay on it because it's satisfying. Go, go, go. But you really want to discipline yourself and remember that the goal is to stay as far to the left as you can here and then make that switch back to the right-hand side and then get fully on the power as soon as possible. So you can experiment with different setups. You kind of have to treat it a little differently. TC8 also works good here. Silverstone TC8 works great just about everywhere. There's a couple of spots where you don't want to use it, but this is one where I see a lot of people will use too much brake on this corner, but that's because they don't use all the track. So you can bounce it out to the left here, kind of load that suspension to give you more grip to make this, more grip and more room to make this right-hand corner. And we didn't hit this as tight as we should have, but we maintained some good speed through here. So watch it again in slow motion. We gave it a little brake, just a tiny bit to rotate the car. I dropped down to 4th and then back up to 5th. You can just stay in 5th if you're more comfortable with it. And then this corner here, if you don't end up all the way on the left here, that's okay. Some cars, they're not going to be able to get over to the left here. I'm running a pretty high rear ride height, and so I have more rotation than a lot of setups that I've run. Brake right after or right at. If you're just getting comfortable with the track, brake right at, but you can push it 2 or 3 markers in. Fully on the brakes, and then you want to just delicately trail brake through this corner and then get back on the power. As soon as you hit that apex, back on the power. And then here's another note here. You don't want to end up all the way on the left here. You want to be able to open up this hairpin as much as you can. However, in a race situation, this is an excellent passing spot because people will often cede the position. If you come in hot and you manage to get alongside, and you can be on the inside of this corner up here, a lot of times people, they know that's a possibility, and so they're not going to cut down on that. Now, sometimes it can end poorly, but for a race situation, sometimes this is your best chance to get it done. If it's a really experienced racer, they're probably not going to let it happen, but it is an opportunity. And then essentially here, what we're looking for is the end of this black and white curbing. Once that goes out of view, you want to get on the brakes. We got on a little late there, full brake, but then you want to ease off rather quickly because since we're at a lower speed, the tires will lock up rather easily. And this is a corner. I dropped down to TC5. It's a first gear corner. Drop down to TC5 to get that drive. Cut this corner as much as you can. And this is a fun one here. A lot of time to be made up. Get over to the right as far as you can, and then just before the sign, start angling in. You want to aim just on the outside of the black and white curb on the inside and try to brake as straight as possible. And then start easing off the brakes and getting the car to rotate, and as soon as you get it to turn, hammer that throttle. This one very similar, except for in a front engine car, the Beamer especially, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this inside curb. So hard on the brakes in a straight line. Let's see where we end up touching them. Essentially, when we're touching the black and white curb is when we're getting on the brake. And then brake in a straight line and kind of move that wheel to the right a little bit. Sorry, I'm borderline burping here. What that is going to do, this curb will actually help bounce the car and kind of rotate it, and help you get through that corner as quickly as possible. We didn't do a fantastic job of it there. You can see we didn't get the extra rotation. We got a little bit. And then TC8 through here. You can bump it. Once you get a little speed, you can bump it down to TC5. There's not a huge difference. Cut that line as best you can, and we're off to the races.
No, Mikey, no, Mikey, that was so not right.
And that's it. That is all you need to know for Silverstone. If you have any other questions, hit me in the comments. Discord is linked in my YouTube About section. I do live stream 3-4 days a week, Pacific evening time. So for you guys over in Europe, that's going to be usually early morning for you guys. But be sure to catch me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, subscribe, like, all those goodies. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Later, guys.